Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So we are continuing to finish up the main link in the center. The Mask of Truth is done. Working more on his tunic. We have some bigger blocks of color today, so I think we should make quite a bit of progress in this session. So 38, 47. So I now have enough colors completed that all of my envelopes fit in one box. Yeah, I had them in spread over 2 boxes before because usually I do about 90 colors in a project, and this one was 125, so I could have jammed them all into one tub, but it would have been really hard to take sort of only one envelope out. You know, when they're really crowded, you try and pull one and, like, you know, the 2 on either side try to come with it. So yeah, I just split it up over 2 tubs until I have enough zeros that I'm down to about 90 something colors. Because yeah, I have about close to 30, I think, colors are zeroed out. So yeah, we're going to start hitting all the zeros this month because I expect to be finished this project this month. And then we will be starting on the Peacock's Marvelous Garden. I know I've had some people saying they're really eager for me to start stitching that one, so it's coming. Yeah, we are finally free of snow here. The very last of the piles of old snow have completely melted, so yeah, it's very windy today, so apologize if you hear my kitchen vent cover flapping around in the wind there. It's been doing that quite a bit this morning. Yeah, so big news. My son passed his road test. First try, which neither I nor his father did. You know, we were telling him to manage his expectations because most people I know did not pass their first try. And I said, I know there's some of them who actually don't pass somebody the first try on principle. My husband actually failed the first time because the guy said he was too confident. So... And then the second time, he's like, I had the same guy giving me the test, and I was so nervous. So he's like, I guess I wasn't overconfident that time. And then the guy said, well, you passed, but just barely. And he said, well, I passed, so that's what counts, right? But yeah, yeah, kiddo passed it first try, so he wasn't that nervous. I think we were more nervous than he was. As is the way of parents, right? Yeah. Yeah, so he is now driving himself to school, which is just feels so surreal. Like, wasn't it just yesterday that, you know, I could carry him on my hip with one arm? My gosh. I said, he's been taller than me for over 2 years. I'm still not used to it. Or one of my friends says it was the deeper voice that took her a while to get used to. So I said, do you ever get used to your kids being taller than you? I mean, granted, maybe it shouldn't be that much of a shock as I'm short and a lot of kids are taller than me since like 6th grade, but it's different when it's your own kid, I think. Yeah. But yeah, so he gets to drive his dad's very old diesel truck. It's a 1992, so yeah, over 30 years old. At least during when it's warmer. Here it gets too cold for diesel engines in the winter, so we'll see. We're looking at maybe selling that vehicle so we can get him a gas instead of a diesel, because then he could drive it year round. But for now, yeah, he's pretty excited. And that vehicle is a right-hand drive because it was a import from Japan. Yeah, so I'm like, I bet you'll be the only kid at your school who's driving a right-hand drive vehicle. But yeah, the day after he got his license, my husband needed to drop his work truck off to have some maintenance done. So our son followed him in the other truck so that he could, you know, he could get to work afterwards. And he said, yeah, my husband was saying it was just surreal to see him driving on his own in the rearview mirror. Like, oh, how is my kid that grown up? My gosh. Yeah, I said, before you know it, you know, he'll be moving out. Oh my gosh. Although we don't know. He may decide to do his post-secondary, whatever he does decide to go into. He may do it locally. So I said, because that'll save a lot, right? So I said, in that case, yeah, he can keep living with us till he's done with that and ready to get out on his own. Oh, actually, what I want to do, instead of parking below this here, I am actually going to park in this stitch next to it right here. I'm going to do the stitches that are to the left of it, and then I'm going to do these stitches and then carry on back down this way. So that is why I chose to do that. So now I need 3, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of greens here. Oh my gosh, pardon me. In fact, I may take this one out into my working tray because I'm going to be using it quite a bit for a while. We'll see. Yeah, we have less than 7,000 stitches left. So yeah, I think we should be done in a couple of weeks. Because I average about 500 a day, especially when it's like this. There's not as much confetti here, so we'll see. But yeah, this month should definitely be done. I was guesstimating to be maybe 90% done by the end of April, but we didn't quite get there. Got to 86, almost 87, so. But that means I got over 20% done in a month, so that means I definitely will get this done because there is less than 20% left. But yeah, so my kid is driving. I just like, wow. Yeah, I remember my dad telling me when I turned 30 that, you know, after a certain age, you sort of don't really realize how much older you're getting. But when you realize your kid is getting older, yeah, then that really brings it home, right? Yeah, there's sometimes I feel like, you know, wasn't high school just a few years ago? And then like, ooh, it was over 20. My kid is almost finished high school. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I know some people said they like to see bigger blocks of color, so today you will definitely get that. Okay, so I'm going to do what I said before, which is do these 3 along that edge now that the stitches to the left of them are done. There we are. So yeah, I was going to go for a walk, but I don't know, it's super, super windy, so maybe I'll use my machine inside instead today because, yeah. And at this time of the year, the sun may be out, but the wind is often still very icy. It can take quite a while for that to warm up. I had the other day, I was going for groceries, and I thought, oh, you know, it's sunny. The ambient temperature's, you know, above freezing by a fair bit. I'll just wear my spring coat. And I walked outside, and that icy wind cut through me, and it's like, nope, nope, winter coat still. Oh. Yeah, so we were all saying about, you know, when he can drive, but I don't know, it's like one of those things that always feels like it's going to be in the future, right? That it's never going to actually arrive. And then when it does, it's like, oh my gosh. You think to yourself, you know, when they leave, when this, but it always feels like it's so far away until it's upon you. Ugh. Yeah, so my diagonal was more steep just because I was following the colors instead of sticking strictly to it. But yeah, as you could see, there's going to be some bigger blocks here for a bit. So I'm going to sort of go down to this grid line here and then go back up and work my way across a bit before I carry on back down. But I could decide to just keep carrying on down to the left. It's totally what you feel like, but okay. Right, that color I just pulled, 3, 3, 4, 5. I think I will put this one out. Because I could see there's bigger blocks of it coming up, so I'm gonna probably go through this strand pretty fast. Definitely doesn't take long. Oh, that will not work. There we go. Yeah, I like to stitch with 2 strands, so getting just one through the eye of the needle is not going to do it. Oh, there we are. Okay. Oh no, that's 3. Huh. 2, 3. Yeah. Need to count here properly. It's the color next to it that was 4 stitches. I got mixed up. Yeah, so I had to cut my nails super duper short because I broke one. I was prying the cap off of one of the big water jugs and yeah, broke all the way down, so I had to cut them all really short. Yeah, I don't really care so much about how it looks. It's just, yeah, it's a pain when they keep breaking and you have to file them so they don't snag on your cross stitch. Or you don't scratch yourself with them on your face and stuff, because I've done that before. Yeah. So we got a whole bunch of zeros earlier because of finishing up the Mask of Truth. There aren't many other lighter colors in this pattern. Those were very pale pastels for a lot of it, so yeah. So yeah, we're gonna finish up this link and then do Deku link form, and then it's done. So 2 of the 4 link forms are done. The Zora link is done and the Goron link is done. And of course this one is the biggest one, so it's been taking the most time. Okay. Ooh. Oh, pardon me. snarled on the back. Let's see if we can get that to... Oh, there's a knot. Okay. Take a spare needle and see if I can pick it out. Hope so, because I don't want to have to cut and restart. Oh, what's going on? There we go. Okay. Okay, yeah, the very end of it there got sort of wrapped around the thread. Didn't want to let go, but managed to pick it apart. Good, because then I didn't have to end and restart, because I hate doing that. At least when I have to do it more than necessary because the thread tangles it. Yeah, that annoys me. So yeah, if we finish this by early May, then it'll take in like exactly 5 months, because it started like December 7th. So we shall see. But like I say, it's not a race. Oh, I think I see another color I am going to pull out here. Okay. Actually going to put another color back. I'm not going to be using for a while. I was using it a bunch in another area, but not anymore. So yeah, because I've only got like 18 slots in my working tray, so obviously I have to choose what colors I'm putting in there for the time being. Okay, 3, 3, 4, 7. Oh, yeah, this thread is kind of kinked. It's a one I must have had on a bobbin for years, so yeah, that's why I don't use bobbins anymore. I put it in envelopes and then we don't have the kinks, because they make it more likely to tangle. I mean, no matter what you do, you're gonna get tangling. Sometimes that's just, unfortunately, the nature of the craft. So as you can see, there's a whole whack ton of this color in this area here. However, we're gonna break it up bit by bit to do the stitches that are above and to the left so they don't get closed in. So that'll keep me from getting a repetitive stress injury, hopefully. Yeah, some people may decide to, at that point, just sort of follow the shape of the color and slant your diagonal the other way, and that is totally up to you. Sometimes I do that myself, sometimes I don't. I find in this case I'm going to, oh, I already had one detached there. Not paying attention. Yeah, it's even marked on my pattern and I just was not paying attention. But anyway, yeah, sometimes I decide to do that, sometimes I don't, and I stick to my method of not closing in and keeping it more slanted this way, just because it also helps, like I say, the built-in breaks keeps me from getting pain. Yeah, of course, I'm prone to repetitive stress injuries, so what do I choose for my hobbies? You know, knitting and cross stitch, which are repetitive. Video games, which you have to be careful because, yeah, all that mashing the buttons can give you, you know, repetitive stress. So yeah, oh well, what you gonna do, right? Okay, so then a couple rows in a row before we go back to a bit of confetti to break that up. Yeah, so because Kiddo is a brand new driver, his insurance is not cheap, but he because he took the driver's ed, we do save a bit. So, which was nice because like my husband said, if you have to take it yourself, the amount you pay for driver's ed training is pretty much the amount you would save on your insurance. But the nice thing is because it was being offered through the school, we didn't have to pay for it. Our tax dollars did. So yeah, it was definitely worth him doing that. And like I said, learning from more than one person is probably a good idea too. One may not catch a bad habit and another would, so. Although you also want to be careful not to end up with too many cooks, right? Pardon me. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I get to exit the GDL driver program this summer, so yeah, I got a letter. They said there's like 700,000 people who are that, and over 500,000 of them are eligible to exit. So I said, oh, so I'm not the only one who just never got around to taking their second road test. Yeah, so they said as long as you've had 2 years of clean driving, no suspensions, no demerits, nothing like that, then you get to leave automatically without having to take a second test. So yeah, and if you do driver's ed training, you are eligible to finish your probationary period 6 months earlier, but you have to be also 18 years old. So our son is going to be 2 years anyway, because of course he got his at 16. So yeah. Okay, 3781. Put this back. Did I read that right? Yeah, 3781. I must have put it back in these envelopes wrong. Darn, I hate when I do that. Okay, let me take a look here. 3779. Where are you hiding? Where did I put it? Got stuff in my other tub from a different project, my firefly, but it's not there either. 3781. Okay, that's weird. Where are you hiding? All right. Come on, you should be here. All right, maybe I accidentally put that one back into my master set. That does happen sometimes too. Oh, that's really annoying. I know I must have an envelope somewhere. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for now. And I'll look for that envelope later. I know it's got to be around here somewhere. So, yeah, Otherwise I'd have to get up and move everything around, and it's all set up nicely for filming. So yeah, that color doesn't come up again for a while, so I won't have a problem. After I end this session, I'll find that envelope. Yeah, I like to put stuff back in my master set when I reach a 0, but sometimes I grab the wrong envelope number and put the wrong one away. That's probably what I did. Either that or it's fallen out of my tub onto the floor somewhere, so we'll see. But it's got to be in the house, so we'll find it. Yeah, I remember when my son was littler and he couldn't find something, he'd say, maybe someone broke in and stole it. I'm like, yeah, dude, if someone's going to break into our house, I don't think they're going to steal your stuffed animal. Like, they'd steal, you know, computers, TVs, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I remember when people used to steal microwaves, but not anymore. They're not worth enough anymore. Yeah, when we got our first microwave, I think my parents got a loan for it because it was like in the 80s. And, you know, they were over $1,000, which was, you know, $1,000 of money in 80s was, you know, worth more than that now. So, yeah, I think I remember they got a loan for it. But if not, yeah, it was a big deal to get a microwave. You know, now they're like $50. But, yeah, back then they were still pretty new technology, so. And I accidentally exploded hard-boiled eggs in them because I didn't know any better. Oops. Fortunately, the only damage it did was to the eggs. Oh. I didn't put metal in the science oven. Yeah, my grandma actually wrecked her first microwave because she was trying to make baked potatoes and she didn't know that you have to poke holes in the potatoes to let the steam escape, and she had them in a casserole, like a Corningware dish. And yeah, so they exploded and actually pushed the lid of the casserole dish right through the top of the microwave. So yeah, it was toast. Whoops. Yeah, she blew up a pressure cooker once too because she was cooking split peas in it. I said most of the time when people say that their pressure cooker exploded, that's why, because they foam up, they create a foam and it can bubble up and block the vent regulator, and then yeah. So I always tell people, don't overfill them. They have an upper fill line for a reason, and don't use anything that foams or expands in there. Like if you're gonna cook, say, rice or beans, you have to make sure that the expanded size is not going to be more than the capacity of your pressure cooker. But yeah, if people really worried about, you know, it, and I'm like, yeah, we've all heard horror stories, but if you use it properly, it's safe. You know, I said, like, even a paring knife is dangerous if you use it wrong. So yeah, just follow your safety instructions and you should be okay. Usually, you never know, but yeah. But yeah, I've done pressure canning because for low acid foods like meat or say like green beans and stuff, if you don't add a vinegar to it, they need to be pressure canned because you can't get them hot enough with boiling water bath canning. Yeah. Because you have to make sure it reaches the right temperature so that it kills off any potential harmful spores or bacteria in the food. Yeah, I always like to say, just because it's sealed does not mean it is safe. If you seal in some, you know, botulism spores that did not get killed by sufficient heat, then yeah, that's not going to be safe. And you can't tell just by smelling or tasting something whether it's bad either. Yeah, I was heartbroken one time. I made homemade pickles in one of the jars unsealed on the shelf. Oh, I was so sad. And it was a whole, like, quart jar, too. It was a big one. It's like, oh, man. But, yeah, I remember I was going to get a new jar of pickles, and I saw one, and I was like, how come the liquid level in this one is so low? I'm pretty sure I remembered, you know, filling it to the correct height, and then I poked at the lid, and it just went right off. And I was like, oh, that's why. So it would have been open for a while if a lot of the liquid had evaporated. So, yeah. It's not worth the risk. You don't want to die of botulism poisoning, trust me. So, yeah, unfortunately. And it's not bad. I rarely have any of my seals fail, but Yeah, unfortunately, you do enough canning eventually, that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't really pressure can that much anymore since I got my Instant Pot, because I used to pressure can big batches of chicken and broth, and then it was nice when you wanted to make a soup. You just open up a jar, like even just a tiny little half-pint jar was plenty of meat for a big, you know, stock pot full of soup. And it would taste like it had been simmering for, you know, hours because, well, when I made it originally it was. Because yeah, you would get chicken and cover it with enough water, cover, and very slow cook it like overnight. So like just on a very low little simmer. And then by the morning it's all, yeah, falling apart, and you can remove the bones and can it, pressure can it, and yeah. And the stock of course is really yummy. Yeah, I would make gravy with the homemade stock, and it was so good I practically wanted to drink it. But yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I generally just can now the apple juice from our apple tree every fall after my harvest. And that you don't need to pressure can because apples have enough acid in them that, yeah, boiling water canning is sufficient to kill any potential germs in there. Yeah, so I'm going to estimate a couple of weeks to finish this. We will see. Okay, so we did this big area here, and then I'm gonna go back up to the top and do a bit more confetti. And then I think we're gonna shift over to the left and start working our way downwards. It's just because of the way the shapes were starting to sort of curve this way, kind of forced me to go further over to the right to keep from closing stuff in. It almost felt like I had another thread caught in there, but I didn't, so. No, you are just not going to cooperate. Goodness. There we go. It's like, come on, I went to the trouble of trimming it too. It should work now. Okay. I think I have, yeah. That one was in my tray. Yeah, so the new Legend of Zelda game comes out soon. This middle of this month, so yeah, I cannot wait. I've been watching the trailers and the previews and it looks so good. Yeah. We've had it pre-ordered for, months. Like, since it first went up for pre-order, I think. Oh my. So, yeah, I always say the Legend of Zelda games, you gotta wait a fair bit in between their release dates, but they're worth the wait. There's always so many. And I swear you can never find all the secrets yourself. I mean, I'm still finding out secrets from some of the older games, even though they've been out for a long time. Like, yeah, Ocarina of Time came out in 1998, and there's still sometimes things that I didn't know. Okay. So yeah, as I said, these big blocks, they really zip right by. So what I may do is set those aside onto that magnet there so they don't tangle. That's one way I handle multiple needles is, yeah, I won't keep them all on the same magnet. I find spreading them apart keeps them from getting tangled as easily. Still cool enough that I may turn on the oven and make some raisin bread today. Yeah, I went and looked at the expiry date on my bag of flour when I opened it, and it expires in August of this year. So I was like, oh shoot, I guess I better do more baking and use it up. Yeah, I think it was one of those, every now and then I get on my my points, I get an offer of, you know, spend X amount and you get 10% of it back in points, but it's usually, you know, a large amount. So I often end up buying stuff that I don't really need right then, but I'm going to use to sort of make up that total. But then yeah, I have to be careful because yeah, I thought, well, flour, I'll use it, but I didn't realize I still had a bag that was like 2/3 full when I bought it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do more frequent baking. Yeah, I like to make cinnamon raisin rolls. You basically just make the cinnamon raisin dough, and then after it's done rising and everything, you roll it out into a rectangle shape, and then I spread a little butter and sprinkle a little brown sugar on it, roll it up and slice it into spirals and bake it, and yeah, it's so yummy. I actually forgot the brown sugar the last time I did it, but it still tasted pretty good. I kind of liked that it wasn't so sticky, I have to say. But yeah, my husband's like, no, do it with the sugar next time. I prefer it that way. So, yeah. Because one thing I find with homemade bread, if you actually make it into a loaf of bread, when you cut it apart, there's a lot of crumbs that you lose a lot of it. I guess because I don't have an actual like bread slicer, right? So you're sawing back and forth and you lose a lot of it to, yeah, it forming crumbs. So I kind of like to form it into buns, separate buns, and then you don't have to cut it apart. Yeah. Yeah, nowadays I just use a stand mixer to mix my bread. But when my son was younger, actually, he had a bread maker. And one time he kind of touched the side of it right when it was finished its knead cycle, and he thought he broke it, poor thing. It switched from the kneading to the rising. And then, yeah, he was convinced he broke it. Poor thing. He was so upset with himself. He was just a toddler then, like, you know, not even 2. Yeah, I was telling him, no, it's okay. That's supposed to happen. You know, and then after it was done, I think it was in the rise, because it would rise more than once. And I think it was after 20 minutes it started moving again. And then I said, see, you didn't break it, you know. I did distract him until then, because, yeah. Yeah, I didn't have good luck with the automatic bread makers, you know, where you just put all the ingredients in and then it does all the mixing and rising and baking all for you after you press a few buttons. But yeah, I found they always died for me within like a year. I don't know, maybe they're expecting people to not make his bread as often as I do or something. Yeah, I got sick of that, so I finally went and got the stand mixer, and I'll just bake it in the oven myself. And like I said, I prefer to actually make buns instead of a loaf of bread, so there's that too. Yeah, my very first bread maker, my husband's parents gave us as a wedding gift, and the kneading mechanism in it died, but the baking oven part of it still works, so I still have it. Yeah, so it's kind of nice in the summer when it's really hot. You can use a little oven. It's like the size almost of a microwave, and then you can cook a casserole or something in there and it doesn't heat up the whole house the way the big oven does, so that's kind of nice. Or sometimes, you know, if I'll be cooking a meal that has things cooked at different temperatures, then you can do that, you know, a second little oven. So that's nice too. Yeah, that one was good. They got it for us, and I think the kneading mechanism in it lasted about 3 or 4 years. And then every bread maker I had after that would die just after a year, you know, like 2 days after the warranty runs out, because of course, you know. So yeah, I gave up on that. And my other bread makers, when the kneading mechanism died, the way they were shaped, you couldn't really use it as an oven because like they opened from the top. And yeah, whereas this one opens like a microwave that my in-laws gave me, so I can still use the oven part of it. Yeah, I think my mother-in-law has had hers for like 30 years and it's still running, so yeah. We have a whole whack of this color here. So that's one row done. Oh, we are almost at 87%. Oh yeah, and we're closing in on 42,000 stitches done. Yeah, I wanted to get 40,000 on camera, but unfortunately my tablet was running out of space, so yeah, I'm gonna have to upgrade. Yeah, it only has, I think 16 gigs of storage on it because it is older. I got it like 4 years ago, so yeah. I'm gonna upgrade to at least 32 on my next tablet, maybe 64, we'll see. And then I'll have plenty of room. But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to replace my phone soon too. So it's getting to the point where the battery doesn't want to hold a charge for very long. It's fine until you want to actually like use it as a phone. You know, you make a phone call and it dies after 2 minutes, so yeah. At that point, there's not much you can do. I did over 800 stitches on Firefly the other day because I really wanted to get the first pass done. Yeah, so I only have like 11 more to go. Boy. My husband's like, so when did you start that? I'm like, over a year ago? But I haven't been working on it as much, so I only just recently started trying to do 1% per month, so yeah. Before that I was just doing the background and I didn't have any goals on it. Okay, I have a lot of leftover threads here. Yeah, so I'm still working on my Hungarian lessons. I haven't given that up yet. But I said, yeah, I just get overwhelmed by the sheer number of words I don't know still, you know. I know sort of my colors, my numbers, you know, but it's like, yeah. Even trying to form a sentence, I can get a word or two and then I have no idea what the rest of them are. It's frustrating because I'll be like, well, I know how to say it in French, or at least more of the words in French, but yeah. But that's not the lesson or the language I'm trying to talk in, so that won't help. Or I'll be going through flashcards and I'll have to go over a word like 20 times because it's like, okay, I saw it 20 seconds ago, but I can't remember what it is again. But then the next day I'll do the flashcards and boom, I'll get it the first try. So I guess it does stick eventually, even if it feels sometimes like it never will. Yeah, according to my flashcard counter, I have mastered 64 words. So oh dear. I said maybe that's why I'm so tired in the evenings lately. I'm using so much brain power trying to learn that a language takes a lot of energy, but it's good brain exercise, so there's that too. Yeah, like even the other day I was trying to say, you know, the yellow dog is looking out the window, and I was able to think, okay, I know yellow, dog, and window, but that's it. And I know the word see, but not look. I'm not sure if they're the same, so yeah, I get stuck. I have the Google Translate app, which is not bad for individual words, but once you start combining them, it often is not correct. Because I'll ask my husband, is this correct? And he'll be like, no, because the words are in the wrong order. They'll be opposite of what they should be. Like he says to me, you know, if you said that, I'd understand what you meant. It wouldn't be correct, but I would understand what you were trying to say. Yeah. Yeah, or it's hard because I've been trying to find videos, you know, that are the audio and then with the subtitles in English, but it's not as easy to find as you might think. Because that can really help. You know, they say like passive listening, they said, does not do as much as people hoped it would. That it could give you some, but, you know, basically hours of passive listening, you could learn better with 10 minutes of active listening. So, yeah. Yeah, because I definitely don't think it's going to work for me because as soon as it gets more than a couple of words that I don't understand, my brain's automatic response is to kind of, oh, you don't understand this, so just tune it out. It's gibberish, right? So, yeah. Because, yeah, if passive listening would do it, I'd probably be able to speak a lot more because, I mean, I've heard my husband speak to his parents in it quite a bit. Yeah. And maybe I've heard a word many, many times, but that doesn't mean I knew what it meant until I actually looked it up. Okay. So yes, less diagonal, more square, because that's how the color is going here. Okay, just gonna get more comfy here. Ooh, pardon me. Yeah, so I posted a video on my Facebook saying, oh, you know, he's going for his first solo drive. And my friend says, but he's just a baby, you know, why are you letting him drive away? Because, yeah, we've known each other since he was, I think 7 or 8. So, yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, when he was about 7, he was able to come to work with me. And we'd bring along a little portable DVD player so he'd, you know, have something to do. And yeah, and then one of our coworkers, he left to do a different job. And my husband ran into him a few years later and said, oh yeah, you know, our son's starting high school. And he's like, what? No, you know, because yeah, you don't see someone, they kind of stay the same age in your mind. Yeah. Okay, so this color, 3, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, I think when I turned, you know, 30, my aunt was like, no, aren't you still 12? Like, yeah. It's like, or I sometimes kind of forgets, like, yeah, I'm 40. There's no way my parents are still in their 40s, but in my mind, that's still the age they are. Oh. Oh yeah, we're gonna blast past 200 stitches for sure in this session because of these, thanks to these bigger color blocks. So I'm going to make a prediction that I will be done by the 15th or sooner. And we shall see. not wanting to lie nice and flat there. So just coaxing it too. Goodness, if I could find the right spot. Yeah, I've seen where some people do their diagonals, they do sort of squares of 100 in a diagonal pattern. Yeah, I don't generally, but I mean, sometimes the colors sort of end up going that way. Goodness, that was really off. It's like halfway through the next stitch. That's no good. Halfway through the next square, I should say. Kind of break this up a bit, do this one and this one, because that will not close anything in that way. Park this ready to do this stitch here, which is probably all I'm going to get out of it. So then I'm going to swap colors again and do one stitch here and one stitch here. And then park that back up here like this. Okay, now I'm gonna go and do some of these stitches that are over here. So yeah, color blocks, sure, I've filled in like all of this since we started, so yeah, it sure helps you to really see your progress quickly. Shadow means there's quite a bit of gray and navy and black on his tunic here, but yeah, I've learned to trust this pattern. I was a little nervous at first because I had never stitched anything by this designer before, so yeah, you're not always sure you can trust the pattern, right? It depends. But yeah, I was glad I did because this one worked out great. But yeah, if a pattern hasn't been well designed, then sometimes you can't trust it, you know? Yeah, so I mentioned, oh geez, probably a year back, but about how white noise doesn't work for me. And somebody suggested I try brown noise, which I'd never heard of, but it's basically the same idea, but it's lower in frequency, lower in pitch. And oh my gosh, they were right. It really helped. Yeah, because we have a crow that likes to that lives in a nearby tree that likes to start up at the wee hours of the morning. And so I searched up brown noise video on YouTube and put my headphones in, and holy mackerel, put me back to sleep in a couple of minutes. So yeah, I can't remember who suggested it, but whoever you are, if you're watching, thank you so much. Yeah, it was really helpful. So I went and I bought myself some sleep phones. They should arrive soon. Yeah, which they're like a headband with little speakers inside, so it's not uncomfortable for your ears. Because before I would use headphones, but I would only use them at the beginning of the night, and then I'd switch to earplugs. But yeah, I could hear the crow even through the earplugs. So yeah, I invested in some sleep phones, which are flatter, and they don't go in your ear, they go like over your ear, so it's a lot more comfortable. I've never used them, but that's what everyone says. So yeah, I'm gonna give those a try. Because my husband was like, well, maybe without headphones, you know, but I'm like, yeah, but if it doesn't work for you, I don't want it to keep you awake. So yeah. And I'm thinking if it's not a headphone, I don't want to crank it up super loud either, because that might distract me too. I just had it on as a low level. But yeah, it was nice. I said it was almost like the deep rumble sound of like an ocean wave, but it doesn't peak and fall like an actual ocean wave would. Or somebody said it was like if you're taking a big, long transatlantic flight and, you know, everybody's quieted down for the night and it's just the hum of the engines. Yeah. But yeah, the lower frequency sure made a difference. And then they have what they call as pink noise, which is sort of like in between the deeper frequency and the higher frequency of white noise. So my son has a white noise machine and it is so loud. Like even with his bedroom door closed, I can hear it. I'm just like, how does that help you sleep? But it works for him. So yeah. Yeah, because he wanted to keep his fan running all year, like even in the dead of winter. And I'm like, well, that makes no sense. But he's like, but the sound helps me sleep. And I'm like, okay, well, then we'll buy you a machine. Yeah. Because it takes more energy, I'm pretty sure, to run a fan than to run a white noise machine. And I mean, it's silly to be cooling down your room in the middle of winter when it's freezing, right? So, yeah. So he uses the fan in the summer and then the machine in the winter, and that seems to work well for him. Yeah, he has it up pretty loud, but like I said, I guess that keeps him from hearing the crows and dogs and such. So, okay, this is going to be very close. Oh, yeah. In fact, I think, yeah, you can see these two strands are not even. And I think, yeah, that is just, I was hoping to get the last 3 stitches out of it, but that's just not happening. I'm going to have to just end this off here. Oh, well, there's a lot more of this color coming up, so it's not like it's a big problem. So I'm going to just make sure I only mark off the ones that I've actually done, so I do not confuse myself. So I have done that before and had to figure out why my stitching and the pattern did not match. Okay, so another of that color. So yeah, there's so much blocks of color here that I'm thinking I'm going to have quite a bit done by my next session. We might even be to 90% by then. That's a few days away, so we'll see. Yeah, I've seen some people, they have a lot of started projects and they rarely finish them. And I mean, I get it. New starts are fun. They definitely are. But I do like to finish things too. So I try to limit myself on how many projects I have started. Like I said, I've got 4 at the moment. I think that's plenty. And once I finish this one, I'll have only 3. So, and one of those is, like I said, is just background. So, yeah. So I haven't got all of the rest of the area in my frame. I'll have to move it at least one more time, but we're getting close to it. Because yeah, this here is like line 160, and I believe this goes to 250. So yeah, it gives us, 9 more columns. Yeah, and I fit about 6 before I have to move it. So like I said, we are getting there. Of course, working on 14 count means that I do have to move my frame a bit more often than if I was working on a higher count, because fewer stitches fit in the same area, obviously. This color kind of branches off a bit, so we'll end up with more than one thread, but that's okay. Okay, yeah, I think I could stitch a bit more, but the thread is getting kind of thin at this point. So I'm going to start a new one. Okay, now we're going to start branching off. Okay, and then I'm going to add a new thread for over here, because like I said, it's going to branch off a bit. And look at that, we're closing in on 300 done in less than 2 hours. That's pretty good. feel that knot, but I could hear it. I should pull it out. It wasn't even really a knot, just more of a little bit of a loop. Yeah, I said done by the 15th of this month, but I mean, with all this, there's going to be some more confetti work over when I get into the deku link, but yeah, with all this large color blocks in the middle, it might be sooner. We will see. Something's not right here. Look at that. Sometimes, yeah, those fibers were there. Don't know why that ended up with a bit of a loop there. There. Smooth that out so it doesn't leave a, yeah, funny little loose bit there, which I do not want. Yeah, we are past 300 done today. I'm closing in on 42,000. Darn, keep splitting my fabric today. Okay, so rather than adding another piece for this branch here, I'm actually going to use the same piece. So I'm going to park it right there. I'm going to do these 4 stitches here, and then I will do more stitches with this other strand. So depending on how far apart the different sort of branches are, I'll use separate threads, and sometimes like this, I'll just make it work with one. So I did these 4. Park this down here, and it's going to be a while till I get to that because I got to sort of fill in all the stuff to the left. So I'm going to unthread that needle. Then I'm going to carry this one up and back down to do those 4. again, this one is going to be a while till I get to it. So I'm going to park and unthread. And oh, my goodness, pardon me. I'm going to get a separate, smaller piece of thread here, I think. Yeah. If I have one, or I'll just start a new piece. Yeah. Well, actually, these pieces were ones I had on a bobbin for a while and ended up cutting them a little shorter because I was kind of guesstimating. When I cut my thread apart now, like I say, I unwind the whole skein and fold it in half 3 times to get 8 equal pieces. When I was taking these off of the old bobbins, I was just kind of guesstimating. So some of them ended up a little shorter than others. That's all right. Oh. Our neighbor has brought out his RV, his big 5th wheel. Now he's got to back it up. Yeah, that is not something I'd enjoy doing. Because, yeah, unlike backing up a single vehicle, it's got a flex point. So, yeah, you go one way and the trailer goes the other way. And, yeah. In fact, I remember my husband and son were big fans of Canada's Worst Driver, and that was one of the challenges. Was backing up a trailer on one of the seasons. And so one of them, she wasn't really paying attention to what the trailer was doing, and she was really surprised when it jackknifed, because she said, well, I just backed up straight. It's like, yeah, but you have to actually pay attention to the trailer, because it won't just necessarily follow what you're doing with the vehicle. You've got to make adjustments as it moves. So, okay, so there we go. Park that there. And then I think this is where I'm going to end this session. So at this point, sort of this color here extends and would close in that. I would have to go up further. So either I would start at the top of the next diagonal and carry on down, or I might shift over to the left here and start working my way out, which is probably what I'm going to do once I'm done filming here. Either one, you know, they meet up at the end and work out to be the same. It's totally a matter of your preferences. And I'm just going to see how long is the piece I have parked here. Yeah, not very. It's probably enough for one row. So rather than carrying this thread all the way over here, which is a bit of a longer carry, instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to park it in the row below and sort of use both threads in this area, because there's quite a number of stitches here, and I think it will easily use up both. I might even have to add another at some point. So yeah, it's a bit more efficient than carrying it all the way over here. I'll start a new piece when I get over there. So if 2 parked, one below the other like that. But yeah, like I said, I would be closing stuff in, so I either have to start at the top or I have to start over here, work my way out, whatever I feel like doing. But yeah, we got over 300 done this session. I got to get up and do some stretches. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone.